Alcoholic drinks are one of the most produced and consumed varieties of beverages in Europe today. But do you know how it all started? The oldest known production of wine dates back to 6000 BC in Georgia, but it was only around 2000 BC that alcohol began appearing worldwide. The preferred drink in Europe was mead, which was made with honey and different types of fruit and flowers to give it its taste. In ancient Greece, the preferred drink was, like the rest of Europe, mead. But in 2000 BC, the art of winemaking arrived and slowly wine became more and more popular. In time, it became an important part of Greek culture, becoming part of religious rituals, hospitalities, medicine, of course, symposiums. By the classical period, wine became such an integral part of Greek culture that wine drinking was considered the thing that separated Greeks from barbarians. They considered that drinking in moderation was good and healthy, and drunkenness was generally frowned upon. That being said, the Macedonians had a different view. They considered excessive indulgences in alcohol as manly. Even Alexander the Great mother had a reputation for inebriety, being part of the cult of Dionysus. In ancient Rome, wine was seen as a daily necessity. They would dilute their wine with water, drinking it undiluted, being seen as barbarian. There existed mead and beer, but it was usually seen as barbarian, even though legionaries would often drink beer. As Christianity started to spread throughout Europe, wine kept its importance, and moderate consumption was still seen as a good and normal thing. Around the start of the medieval era, small beer was started to be consumed by people of all ages. Small beer was beer with a smaller alcohol content, between 0.5% and 2.8%. It was usually drank because water was not safe, since you could get cholera and other diseases. The boiling and fermentation process made small beer a much safer alternative. Around the 18th century, spirits became really popular. Distillation had existed since the 12th century in Europe. Until the 16th, it became widespread, but liquors were mainly used for medicine. During the 17th century, spirits became more refined all over Europe, and by the 18th century, they became the preferred drink. In England, due to the stress of living in big cities, gin and whiskey became really popular. In the Balkan Peninsula, due to the occupation of the Ottoman Empire, alcohol was outlawed and wine production became really difficult. So, raki became popular since it was easier to produce and hide from authorities. In Russia, the government had a monopoly over vodka production, so it became really cheap and accessible to the poorest citizens. In the West, due to its rapid industrialization, hard drinking became less and less acceptable, since factories needed punctual workers, so modern beer became very popular, having a stronger alcoholic content than small beer, but less than wine and spirits. In the East, on the other hand, vodka and raki remained widely consumed and are still to this day the preferred drinks of the East. This happened because of the lack of industrialization and education. In the 20th century, alcohol was still consumed more than today, but consumption rapidly started to decline. That being said, alcohol is still widely consumed in Europe as a way of recreation and relaxation. A lot of Europeans start drinking at early ages, such as 15. A lot of countries you can consume beer legally at 16 under certain conditions. Alcohol played a huge role in European culture, Europe being the continent with the most alcohol consumption to this day. Most likely, the relation between alcohol and Europeans will not change soon, and alcohol will continue to be a major part of European culture.